What's up to anyone watching? My name is Nathaniel, and this video is everything you need to know about being a 13 Juliet in AIT. This is another simple talk-through video, but I'm gonna start making more active or demonstration videos, or just videos where I'm not like just talking to the screen every video I make. So starting from scratch, after basic training, you'll go to your AIT to train for your MOS. Your MOS stands for your military occupational specialty, and each MOS is categorized by number. So 11s are the infantry series, 68s are the medical series, and so on and so forth. Before deciding on an MOS, I would highly consider a series that works best for you. So if you pick a 68 series, you should be interested in a medical career, that sort of thing. The 13 series is a field artillery series. Field artillery is basically finding and attacking the enemy from afar, utilizing cannons, rockets, and missiles. If you're looking for a combat MOS but don't want to do like direct combat with the enemies like infantry does, then field artillery is probably more for you. Now, if you're a 13 series, your AIT is going to be located in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. This is also where basic training is located, at least one of the four. There are 5 different types of 13 series. There's 13 Romeos, which are the watchers. So these guys find where the enemy is and alerts everyone else. Then you have the 13 Bravos. Those are like the muscle. They carry the ammo, they shoot the cannons, hold the missiles, stuff like that. 13 Juliets, I'm going to go more thoroughly in this video later. 13 Mikes are the launchers, but unlike Bravos who like shoot cannons and stuff on the ground, you guys shoot rockets and missiles from trucks or HIMARS. And finally, 13 Foxes. I'm not really sure what 13 Foxes do. I think they're joint support, but they're all important. I mean, all the 13s, like there's a different type of 13, but you're all doing a job to help each other out as a whole. Now, from this point on, I'm going to be talking about 13 Juliet specifically, since I am a 13 Juliet. So this will include what you'll learn, what you'll do, and what the lifestyle of AIT is like. So a 13 Juliet is a fire control specialist. It has nothing to do with fire. When I would tell my friends or family that I was a fire control specialist, they would think I'm a fireman. No, it has nothing to do with fire or being a firefighter or anything like that. 13 Juliets are the brains of field artillery. Basically, you use radios, computers, or grids to communicate to the 13 Bravos and 13 Mikes where and how to blow your enemies up. That's the whole gist. If you search it up online, they're gonna give you an accurate description, but most people won't really know what they're reading. So that's basically what 13 Juliet is. Sending info to the people who blow the people up. The training for this MOS is only 7 weeks long, and I say only because other MOSs can be 16 weeks long, 21 weeks long, or even longer. So 7 is really short in retrospect. Each week is a different class, and you'll learn something different about your job. So week 1, you'll learn how to operate radio systems, or Army radio systems. The point of this is to be able to activate the radio from scratch in order to communicate with different channels or people within the channels. And you're going to learn basic radio terminology. So you're going to learn call signs, you're going to learn net control, etc. Numbers, you have to say a little differently. So how you would say numbers, ordinarily, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the Army, it's 1, 2, tree, as in like a tree. 4, fife. So F-I-V-E is actually F-I-F-E. 6, 7, 8, niner, and then 0. So 4 numbers you have to say a little bit differently. They'll explain why, but it seems like silly change, but you have to say it a lot, and you have to write them differently too. But you'll get familiar with certain radio systems. So the one we currently use is called SYNCGARS. This stands for Single Channel Ground Airborne Radio System. Basically, you're going to learn how to use them, its basic functions, and at the end of the week, you're going to take a test, and you have to demonstrate setting up a radio, operating the radio, and you have to send a message. And then that's it. That's week 1. That's learning how to use a radio. And then now you're just 1 week down. Week 2, you'll learn about charts. Charts is all about plotting firing points and targets on a grid map and finding azimuths between them. Charts can seem a little confusing, and me explaining them isn't going to do it justice, but basically, you take the target and firing point grids, you plot them on a chart, you measure the grid azimuth with a protractor. Once you have the grid azimuth in degrees, you convert it to mils. And once you do that, you apply the grid magnetic correction shown on the map, And then the final numbers, firing point grid, target grid, azimuth and mils, and range, are what the fire direction cell is looking for. Make sense? Probably not. Like I said, me explaining it doesn't do it justice. I really wish I had pictures or anything to describe it. All I got is this, and I'm sure this is confusing enough. Showcasing how to actually do a chart is a video in itself, but if needed, I'll make that video in the future, because me explaining it just sounds overly complex and doesn't really do it justice. But trust me, it's not that hard, and it only takes a week. It's like you know. Week 3 to 5 is all about learning sticks. Sticks, not like tree branch sticks, but sticks are little manual graphical aids or table things that are used to solve gunnery problems. There are 3 types of sticks. There's GFT, GST, and TFT. The GST stands for graphical sight table. It's a slide rule symbol, and you have to use it to find vertical angles or angles on sights in general and help read big corrections visually. GFT stands for graphical firing table. It's basically the same thing as a GST, and it helps read small corrections visually. And TFT stands for tabular firing table. And this is just basically the first 2, but it's a manual. So it's like a book and has detailed tables, and it contains all the firing data you need for whatever you're working on. And think of the TFT as the complete manual, and then the GST and GFT are quick, hands-on ways to use it. This one's also the most math-orientated one, so you have to use a lot of math for your lessons. I can't really explain it all, mainly because I don't have the stuff here to explain it, and I'm more of a visual learner or visual demonstrator. So, and honestly, I just can't remember all that. It's 3 weeks worth of knowledge, but once you get it, easy. Week 6 to 7 is the final portion of your training, and this involves FA tabs. I'm going to put the definition somewhere on the screen, but in simple terms, it's the computer system you'll be using to do your fire missions. And 80% of the things you learn to do manually, like charts and sticks, you have to learn to do it manually. On FA tabs, all that work is already done for you on the screen. So in AIT, the first week of FA tabs teaches you about the system administration and how to set up FA tabs from scratch, because, well, you just have to know how to do all that. And then the second week is all about fire mission processing. So using everything you learn to operate and troubleshoot the system and hopefully successfully shoot your own fire mission, your very first one. It's going to be fake, but, you know, at least you'll know how to. And at the end of the day, you're basically sending a fire mission, and your career depends on pretty much knowing how to send a fire mission. Later throughout your career, especially if you're active duty, you're going to be sending fire missions like all the time. From what I've heard, I'm still like in my barely first year, but from what I've heard, you're going to be sending fire missions all the time, and you should be able to send like 7 in 5 minutes throughout your whole career. So, but this is all for the training portion of it. The training itself isn't bad. Just be sure to definitely take notes. Take notes. Notes is important. Notes is key. And listen to what your instructor teaches, because they're 99% of the time a 13 Juliet themselves, and that 1% just know what they're talking about. So definitely take notes and listen. The only reason I don't explain all the lessons step by step is because I don't have any of the stuff here, which is why I'm going to try to make more active videos. So, as far as AIT lifestyle in Fort Sill, how is it? What do you do? How's it different from basic? Is it all classes 24/7, or do I get a break? I got you. So let's just start with an average daily breakdown. You're not sleeping in the barracks anymore with 30 to 60 people. You're going to be living in a dorm environment with maybe 1 to 3 other people. Ideally, you're going to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, because you have to be outside your dorm room in the hallway by 4:45. On the bright side, though, if 4 in the morning just sounds way too early in general, you won't be waking up by drill sergeants like you would in some basic training batteries. You will still get smoked if you sleep in late, if you just don't show up. So make sure you actually are outside your room by 4:45. But there will be drill sergeants in AIT in general. They're not as harsh as basic training drill sergeants will be, because now you're a step above basic training. But this is the last time you'll see drill sergeants, which is in AIT. Maybe not the last time, but you're still training at this point, basically. You're becoming a soldier at this point. 5:30 is PT, so that's going to be your morning. And if you're 13 Juliet, usually only workout for the day. Most of the time, it's just stretches and then a 2 to 4 mile run. Sometimes they might switch it up, but that's usually what PT entails. 6:30 is personal hygiene, so shaving, doing your hair, taking a shower, all that good stuff. 7:30 is when you'll eat breakfast at the DFAC. The food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is kind of the same as basic training since it's still Fort Sill, so it's on a basic training battery, but there's a way different variety and you have more options and more time to eat and pick what you want to eat. At 8:30, you'll take a bus to Burleson Hall, which is where your classes will be, and then that's when you're going to start your training, or the learning process at least. At 12, you'll break for lunch, you go to the DFAC again, then bus back to Burleson Hall to finish your lessons for the day. At 1700 or 5 o'clock, you go to dinner once class is over, and then when class is over, at 6:30, you'll bus back to the battery, and at 6:45, you'll have final formation for mail call. This could take 15 minutes, or it could take forever, and not because of mail. But let's just hope on a good day, you know, it takes 15 minutes. Then at 1900 or 7 o'clock, you have hall maintenance, so cleaning your room, sweeping the hall, mopping the hallway, all that sort of stuff. And then half an hour later, you have hallway inspections. So if everything's good, you have the rest of the night to yourself. And that's basically a simple Monday through Friday. Like, those are all the most of your time is just in class or eating or sleeping. That's really it. Saturdays and Sundays are different. You don't have to go to class or wake up at 4 in the morning or even do PT. You just have to make it to your formations. There might be more depending on what you do on that specific Saturday or Sunday, but usually it'll just be eating formations, like getting ready to go to chow and stuff like that. But make sure you show up, because one person not showing up can ruin it for everyone else. But Saturdays and Sundays, Saturdays is usually a really chill day. Typically, you can leave base and go to the PX, and the PX is basically a mall, but on an army base. Since your AIT is only 7 weeks, or for 13 and 14 series, we don't have this thing called phasing up. If you're a different MOS, you might have what's known as phasing up, which means you can explore your base a little bit more, which is a cool privilege. It's just, for us, your only training is 7 weeks long. You don't really need to go out that much, really. So they only allow you to go to the PX, and the PX is all right. Like I said, it's just a mall. And that's usually the whole Saturday. People would just go out to the PX. Sundays is more like a church religious day. People will stay inside, clean, sleep, or go to church, you know. It's a chill weekend. Like I said, all you have to do is like make it to your formations and you should be good, really. And for reference, even if you don't want to go to the PX or if you don't want to go out on the weekend, because you do have like many opportunities to do so, 7 or 8 to be in fact, you're more than welcome to stay at the battery. You can sleep, just don't sleep, like sleep in your room. Don't sleep in the hallway or sleep in a classroom environment, even if it's empty where a drill sergeant can see you. Don't do that. But you can't sleep in your room. You are allowed to have more things in AIT. They have to be mailed to you, or you can buy it at the PX. But you can have like a TV, you can have your PlayStation, your Switch, Nintendo. Me personally, when I didn't want to go out on the weekends, I would just hit the gym indoors. They have a gym at the battery. They're a little strict on when you can use it and giving you the okay to use it. But when you do get the okay, you're more than welcome to work out at the gym. You can also technically work out by yourself too. I mean, they're not going to say anything if you're just working out in general. They don't really care. In fact, they encourage you working out. Like I said earlier, you're only going to really get one workout a day, and on weekends that can be none. So I like to train, so I just work out on my own. They have a track there too, but again, they're for some reason a little strict on when you can use the track, if at all. So often at nights I would just race on the sidewalk because I like sprinting, or maybe I'll just do some shadow boxing in my room. I don't know, if I'm bored, because flashy kick seems cool to me. The point is, there's many stuff you can do. You can sleep, you can train, you can do whatever as long as you're following the rules. When I went, unfortunately, they did ban the PX, but I went to AIT from February 2025 to May 2025. So maybe it's unbanned now. The reason it was banned is because a lot of trainees were breaking the rules. And it's not just 13 Juliet, so it's 13 series, 14 series, and unfortunately they banned it for everyone for a while. But hopefully by the time I'm making this video, it's lifted and that you can actually enjoy AIT as an experience, because, you know, even though you can stay indoors, I don't think you want to stay indoors every single weekend, especially when Monday through Friday you're just in a class all day. So all in all, the 13 Juliet AIT experience isn't too bad. It's pretty short, pretty simple. You should pass the classes. The classes aren't too difficult as long as, like I said, you study and take notes. The people there are, depending who you meet, pretty cool too. I met a lot of good people that I care about to this day, and I'm just trying to do better for them. They're all active duty. I'm just a guard trying to help people online, so I guess I'm just trying to be better each day. But that was the video. Hopefully I didn't rant too long. Hopefully I was able to answer more questions if you were wondering about what a 13 Juliet does. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna try to get more videos, try to be more active and stuff like that. So yeah, see ya.